My earliest memory of Pokemon is watching the anime as a kid and hearing the tagline, "Gotta catch them all." Now, as an old man in my late 20s, I thought to myself, could I really catch them all? So Pokemon Stadium was the first Pokemon game I ever played, but the first game I ever owned was Pokemon Sapphire, which is conveniently when the Pokemon decided to drop the "Gotta catch 'em all" tagline that we all grew accustomed to, because in Sapphire and Ruby, you could no longer catch them all. So although the Gen 1 games aren't my favorite games, they do still hold a special place in my heart. The challenge I decided to set for myself today, can I complete the Pokédex in my copy of Pokemon Red? In today's world of emulation, this isn't a difficult task at all. Being able to hack in Pokemon items, use save states, etc. makes this challenge a lot less tedious. I wanted to throw it all the way back to my childhood and do this on the original cartridge and the original hardware. No hacking, no glitches, no exploits. And the biggest challenge on top of this all, can I do this all in under 24 hours? Well, let's see how I did. Something I want to immediately point out is that I don't own a copy of Pokemon Blue or Yellow. Red version is the only Generation 1 cartridge that I own. So doing this all on one cartridge makes this challenge even more difficult. In the modern games and even back on the DS and 3DS games, it was easy to use Wi-Fi and now use Pokemon Home to transfer and trade Pokemon. And unfortunately, we don't have that luxury with this challenge. However, I do have some plans that one might not normally go for, as this was going to have to be 3 save files on a single cartridge. For our first save file, I decided to go with Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur, without a doubt, has the best matchups of the early game, and I needed to get through it as quickly as possible. Although I will be catching some Pokemon along the way throughout this run, only a select few will be added to our total. Basically, as quickly as possible, I made my way through the first few gyms and found myself in Celadon City. This is where we could get our next addition to our total. I grabbed Eevee and decided to evolve it into Vaporeon. And no, this was not for the reason that you think. This is not for the Vaporeon memes. Cinnabar Island is only accessible via Surf, and this was a free gift, so why not? We were going to need it anyway. Shortly after, I made a beeline to Saffron City and took on the Fighting Dojo. Thankfully, Ivysaur was able to resist a lot of the moves, and once beating the Karate Master, I'm able to choose either Hitmonlee or Hitmonchan. It didn't matter what I picked here, but I chose Hitmonchan. Now we can finally make our way to Cinnabar Island and revive the fossil that we received in Mount Moon. After receiving Kabuto from the scientist, we now have a grand total of 4 Pokemon, and we can start our second save file. Now you may be wondering, didn't you say you only have one Generation 1 Pokemon cartridge? So obviously it's impossible to do this challenge on a single cartridge without editing your save file, which we can't do anyway if we're playing this on original hardware. So version exclusives have always been a part of the series since the beginning, and thankfully Gold and Silver are the definition of sequels to the original Red and Blue. And thankfully for me, all the version exclusive Pokemon in Blue version are pretty much exclusive to Silver, and I am able to trade between these two games. It's just going to take a little effort. Now I recently replaced the batteries in my original Pokemon cartridges, so we don't have save files on these, meaning we're going to have to grind through the game for a little bit. The Generation 2 Pokemon games are only able to trade with the Gen 1 games once you reach Ecruteak City and talk to Bill about his time machine. This works perfectly for me because all of the Blue version exclusive Pokemon are available along the way up to this point in the game. It didn't really matter who I decided to choose for a starter, but pretty much as quickly as possible, I picked up Cyndaquil and made my way through the early game. Along the way, I was able to catch Bellsprout and Vulpix. Along the way, I held on to any berries, items, TMs that we could use to sell for cash, because one of our encounters would be coming from the game corner. After selling pretty much all of my items and spending a little time at the game corner, I earned enough coins to buy a Sandshrew. Now I was playing this on a Thursday, but thankfully for me, we could make our way to National Park and participate in the bug catching contest where we could catch Pinsir. After this, we're able to make our way to Ecruteak City, and not only are we able to talk to Bill and enable the time machine, we can also catch Meowth and Magmar. And just like that, we're done with our catches in Pokemon Silver, and we can start to do our trades. After doing our trades, I reset my Pokemon Red save file, and start save number 2. This save file will be our shortest of the save files, since we only need to grab one starter here. I decided to choose Squirtle here, and once we get Pokeballs, we're able to catch any random Pokemon and trade over Squirtle to Silver, making our new total 10 Pokemon. At this point, we're finally able to start our final save file. Using Charmander here, we start out on our Master Quest and attempt to complete Professor Oak's challenge. No, not a Professor Oak's challenge. But to avoid the monotony of blitzing through the game and catching everything after, I'll do my best to catch as many Pokemon as possible as I progress throughout the story and before each gym badge. One major thing that I noticed in these Generation 1 games throughout this challenge is that the encounter tables are quite out of the ordinary compared to what we'd see in later generations. There are only 38 Pokemon in this game that we actually need to evolve. Other than that, we can encounter every other Pokemon in the wild. What makes this even better is that a good chunk of these Pokemon are stone evolutions, so we really don't need to spend a whole lot of time grinding. I did decide early on to do some grinding though, as it would help in the early game as Charmander does struggle against Brock and Misty. After spending some time grinding and getting some catches along the way, we finally got to encounter what would be the best Pokemon in this game, Abra. Psychic types were beyond broken in Gen 1 due to errors in coding, so once we evolved Abra into Kadabra, we could make our way forward with ease. And even better for me, we could just trade Kadabra and get Alakazam almost immediately. The grind to get Abra to Kadabra did take some time though, so not wanting to deal with any more switch training at the time, I decided to drop off Magikarp at the daycare. So outside of grinding evolutions and catching whatever we can in the wild, we would also need to rely on some in-game trades, as some Pokemon are only available via in-game trade. The first of these being Farfetch'd. So once we arrive in Vermilion, we're able to trade for a Farfetch'd using a Spearow from an NPC in one of the nearby houses. I easily make my way through the SS Anne and Lieutenant Surge, and by the time we reach Celadon and take care of Erica and Team Rocket, we've officially hit the 50 Pokemon mark, meaning we're 1/3 of the way through our challenge already. After catching Snorlax, it was time for what could be one of the biggest hurdles and time wasters in the game, that being the Safari Zone. I spent a little time at the game corner, but I didn't want to lose my insanity quite yet, so I decided to kind of move on in the game and go to the Safari Zone and come back later. The Safari Zone is a fun game in Fuchsia City where we can get 30 balls and 500 steps to explore and find a bunch of rare Pokemon that we can't find anywhere else. Unfortunately for us, these Pokemon can flee, and pretty much the rarer the Pokemon, the more likely it is to flee. To not lose my sanity even further, I decided I'd just do the one run until we ran out of steps, getting the Surf HM and the Gold Teeth, and thankfully I was able to catch a good chunk of Pokemon here before moving on with the story. After beating Koga and evolving our mascot, I decided it was time to add some more powerhouses to the team. Although Alakazam was a great team member, the grinding that we were doing for some of the other Mons meant the trainer battles were starting to match us in level or even get past us in some other instances. I decided to make my way to the power plant and attempt to catch our first white whale, Zapdos. So, fun fact about these early Generation 1 games, if the Pokemon has a low catch rate, sometimes you'll just completely miss the ball when you attempt to catch the Pokemon. After spending far too much time trying to catch this big bird and failing, I decided to take a break and make my way to Cinnabar and resurrect our other fossil Pokemons before coming back for round 2. This did take quite a bit of time, but this time around I was able to catch this large yellow chicken and pretty much use it and Alakazam for the rest of the major story battles. Deciding to clear out a lot more of the story, we made our way to the top of Silphco, where our starter finally evolved into Charizard, and we were gifted a Lapras for saving the employees. Also to note, I streamed a good majority of this challenge over on Twitch, so if you want to see me do challenges like this or other videos happen in real time, you should go check it out, link in the description below. Shameless plug aside, I did find that trying to entertain and complete this challenge in under 24 hours while doing other challenges on top of this was going to be far too tough. so I decided to do a lot of cleanup off stream. During this time, I was able to sell a lot of the TMs and items that I had accumulated at this point in the game that were pretty much useless to me and make a bunch of cash. This really helped with buying coins so that we could get Dratini and Porygon much faster from the game corner. In Pokemon Red, it costs 9,999 coins to get Porygon. Not that buying the coins really made that big of a difference because you could only get 50 at a time, but overall, it did speed things up a lot. Also during this time, I went back to the Safari Zone to get the rest of those rare captures that we were missing. After some time and lots of luck, we were able to catch Scyther, Kangaskhan, and Tauros. After spending far too many hours grinding levels, being a professional fisherman, and spending way too much time at the casino in the Safari Zone, we had nearly doubled our Pokédex total and could steamroll through the rest of the game. Unfortunately for me, I could feel the clock counting down. I finally decided to take on Sabrina and Blaine, and afterwards decided to go after Articuno. At this point, I decided given the amount of time that I spent on Zapdos, it could be another tedious capture, and I was really worried that this was going to be another major time investment. Oh boy, okay. Well, let's go for Psybeam. I don't want to do too much damage. Is this thing ever going to stay paralyzed? Oh my gosh. This bird has some insane special attack. Oh my god, first ball. Oh my goodness. Alright. Well, I guess I had nothing to worry about there, huh? After some more grinding and evolutions, we took down Giovanni and our rival Billy and made our way to the next area that had our next set of encounters, Victory Road. What I really like about the endgame of these Generation 1 titles is that it really felt like they were keeping the rare and powerful Pokemon at the end, really encouraging you to spend some time not only in Victory Road, but also Cerulean Cave. Both of these caves have a plethora of rare and powerful Pokemon that can only be caught here, and that's not even including the legendaries. Speaking of, after making our way into the depths of Victory Road, we encountered Moltres. Now there's no way I'd catch another legendary bird in the first ball, right? I felt as though I'd used up my luck on Articuno, so the amount of time it would take to catch Moltres would likely land somewhere in between the one ball with Articuno or the multiple attempts at Zapdos. Go for Surf here. Oh fuck. Crap. You down to red, okay. Yeah, 13 Ultra Balls. And we missed. Why is this even a mechanic? I said it's gonna be somewhere in between. Catch the 3 legendary birds and obtain Moltres. Let's go. Now that we made our way through Victory Road, it was time to finish up any evolutions that we could still do that we couldn't get in the post-game. Thankfully, I had done a nice enough job up to this point cleaning up off-stream, and just had to do my trade evolutions. Oh yeah, I also wasted 10 rare candies that I found throughout the game to evolve Dragonair to Dragonite that I had been saving. So yeah, I wasn't going to waste the time to do that grind either. Now that we finished our trade evolutions and getting our pseudo-legendary, it was time to take on the league. I wanted to get through it as quickly as possible, so having a team of 3 legendary birds, Dragonite, Alakazam, and Snorlax, really made this possible. One by one, we quickly took down Lorelei, Bruno, Agatha, and Lance. But there was one final trainer waiting for us. Again, having a team of powerhouses made these battles mindless, and we took down our rival with ease. After watching the credits roll, our last area of the game that we needed finally unlocked for us, Cerulean Cave. After flying to Cerulean City, we made our way to Cerulean Cave to get the last of our encounters. Thankfully, a lot of Pokemon are found here that have high evolution levels, meaning that we didn't have to waste a lot of our time grinding. Knowing that time wasn't on our side, the stress really started to settle in, and I realized I hadn't been thinking clearly for quite a while. I'd completely forgotten about the Magikarp that we had put in the daycare so many hours ago, and a Jigglypuff that I had since Mount Moon and I had extra Moonstones just lying around. I just completely forgot to evolve into a Wigglytuff. I was worried about having to take the time to switch train Magikarp, but the Pokemon in Cerulean Cave are such high level, and you can encounter Chansey here as well. Thankfully, we didn't have to worry about getting Chansey in the Safari Zone, and Chansey gave out a lot of experience, so we were able to get a Gyarados quite quickly. At this point, we had less than an hour to go, and although we only had one Pokemon left to reach our 150 Pokemon mark, I was still worried. It had been years since I had tried to get Mewtwo in these original games. After seeing how much time I had spent catching Zapdos, we might be going past the 24-hour mark if things didn't go our way. But, once again, Lady Luck was on our side. Come on. General mechanics, don't fail me now. Oh my god! Oh my god, we did it. Oh my god, we did it. Gotta catch them all. Catch all 124 Pokemon that are available in Red. And just like that, I officially caught all 150 obtainable Pokemon in Pokemon Red in under 24 hours. Our challenge was complete. Or was it? Now you may be asking, Brad, why didn't you use your Master Ball to catch Mewtwo if you were worried about time? Well, I had bigger plans. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, due to poor coding, these games were easily exploitable. Now, I know at the beginning I said I was going to avoid cheats and exploits and glitches for this run, but I had come this far, and we only had one thing left to do. Slowpoke. And now, fly back to Cerulean. I think now if we cross the bridge, we should have a fun little encounter. Oh, I didn't do that. What's this? Oh. Last but certainly not least. Mew was caught. And with that, we have officially captured all 151 original Pokemon. It's official. I successfully completed my Pokedex and captured all original 151 Pokemon on an official cartridge of Pokemon Red with a game time of less than 24 hours. This challenge was so much fun, and it was so fulfilling at the end, but it certainly had its bumps along the way. I tried to do a lot of this off memory the best that I could, and I was going for some other challenges along the way. Keep an eye out for that video in the future. I think had I focused completely on being optimal and spending the actual time prepping and planning, I could have easily saved myself hours. But this is called the challenge for a reason. Thank you so much for tuning in if you made it this far. Please leave a like, as this was my biggest video yet. I definitely see myself doing more challenges like this in the future, so subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.